Welcome to another episode of A Que Entranos podcast with Hector and Xiaomi. This podcast is a community podcast where we tell stories that have been untold. First of all, I want to thank God for giving us the opportunity to be here tonight, or if you're listening and it's the morning, good afternoon. I also want to thank our partners, the Washington County Chambers of Commerce, our producer, Johanna Parra, and of course, our camera guys, Eliora Production, and Argelio, who's helping us tonight.
There are some fights we choose to fight, we want to fight, but there are some fights who choose us. And when that happens because it is too urgent or it is too personal, that's a call that we cannot deny. Tonight, we welcome a brave young woman who stood not just for her father, but also for her entire community. And she didn't wait for permission to raise her voice. She keep moving, she keep fight, she keep forward. And it becomes, this is not just resistance, it is purpose. This is Atziri. Welcome to the podcast, A Que Entranos.
Thank you so much for having me.
Thank you, Atziri. We're here to, let's say, we had your mom and your dad in the previous episode, and they told their stories. And so your dad had his perspective from the inside, your mom from the outside. Now we're here with you, and I'm pretty sure our community out there, they want to hear how you did it. What happened?
Yeah, so I received the call from my mom. She told us, they have your father. ICE picked up your father. Immediate pain and panic and shock overcame me, and I just started bawling and crying. And after all of that, you have to have an action plan. You have to say, well, where do we do from now? Where do we go from here? So we reached out to the organizations, PERC, ECHO, and we were hitting wall after wall with our consultations, giving us a 1% chance. They said, you have a 1% chance of winning your case. So that was absolutely devastating to us.
Who said that?
Our first consultation with Gonzalez Immigration, we reached out to them because they had done my green card, and
So it was a
process.
lawyer who says that.
yes, it was a lawyer.
A lawyer that you knew.
Exactly. Yes, we had a history with them, and we loved them. I mean, they handled our case very well, but they gave us a 1% chance of my father being let out. So after that first consultation, we felt defeated. We felt, well, where do we go from here if that's what the possibilities are? So
Especially from somebody you know and you trusted in the past,
right.
giving you 1%.
And it's a very prestigious firm.
Yes,
So
I've heard of them.
Yes, very well known. They quoted us $20,000 to take the entire case, and we just felt like wow. With a 1% chance of winning, that amount of money, like, where do you get it? Like, not a lot of people have $20,000 to just.
And it's not for 1%.
Yeah,
Right.
and especially we start thinking okay, I get the $20,000, and now what? What if 99% of the chances are to lose, and then I'm going to lose the case, and also I'm going to lose $20,000.
The money.
Exactly.
There is a lot of thought process behind that, right?
Yes. So after that, we were like, okay, well, we need more hope. We need somebody else. So we started with ECHO, and they took our case, and they assigned us a lawyer to take on the bond hearing. And so the bond hearing was covered through ECHO, thankfully, and the bond was denied. Judges in Tacoma, they're just not granting bonds to anybody right now. Our lawyer said that they are saying they don't have jurisdiction. They're interpreting the law and twisting it to fit their narrative and to cover their ass, for lack of better words, just to cover themselves with the Trump administration. And so we went in knowing that, she said, I want you to be emotionally prepared that your father is not going to be granted bond. So
So she knew before they gave her.
yes, she anticipated it just because of past bond hearings,
Experiences.
exactly, her past clients. And so we went in, okay, hoping, but also knowing the reality. And like she said, it was denied, but she did say it was the lowest bond they had seen with that judge. That judge had been setting bonds at $20,000, $15,000, and my dad, with his record, he got a $3,000 bond, which is the lowest that they've seen. I mean, he's not a threat to society. He's not a flight risk, so it was expected. And the funny thing is, my husband was sitting in court, and he said that the only thing that DHS had against him was that he had illegally came into the United States in 1999, and that's all. So the case was kind of like, the judge was kind of like, that's it, that's all you have on him. So they denied the bond, but after that, we had to hire yet another lawyer, which we privately
from Echo
hired.
or aside from
Echo could not help us further, so we had to privately hire a lawyer.
Can you explain us a little bit how is the process with Echo? Because I know that there is a lot of people that is going to watch this and they are like wonder how is that process?
Yeah, so we called the Echo hotline, and you basically register and give them your information, and then it took about a week for them to assign our case to a lawyer. So it does take a long time because time is of the essence, so you want to move as fast as you can and when people are being detained. But
I feel like a week was short for the
Oh, really?
cases I'm hearing out there.
Yeah.
That they're telling them, okay, your hearing is in January, and we don't have attorneys right now.
Wow.
Do you think you guys' case was different because of the move that you guys were doing, or
I think
did you feel that way or no?
I think that we got lucky because my father was one of the first people detained in early October. So I think that they were not as saturated as they are now. So I think that wait times have probably gone up and resources are scarce now. But I think that my dad got very lucky that he was one of the first ones. Not lucky per se, but that we still had resources and they still had lawyers available. Because like I said, our wait time, I think we waited maybe a week and a half for them to take our bond hearing. And then after that, I think cases go through the kind of like in parts. So it's the bond hearing, and then it's the habeas petition, and now he's in removal proceedings. So they were not able to take on the entire case. They just took on the bond hearing, and then we hired somebody to do the habeas petition, and we paid about, I want to say, $4,000 to $5,000 for that. And that's what essentially got my father out. It's a federal court order saying you're detaining this man illegally. You can't keep him here. You have to let him go because he has the deferred action through his work permit. He also has a bona fide letter stating that his case is legit, that he's not lying for his work permit. And so the judge ordered that in November 7th, I believe, and they had to let him out a day later or with the bond that they set. So we paid the bond, and that's how we got him released.
So you have to still pay the bond after.
Yes, yes. So we paid the bond because it was a Friday, and we didn't want him to spend the entire weekend there and then get out Monday.
But regardless, you still had to pay the bond.
Yes, we had to pay the bond, and it was with ICE's conditions. So one of the conditions that they put on my father was ankle monitor. So that was a whole nightmare. Our lawyer was not even anticipating that. She actually, when she saw him come out, she was very upset. And she went up to ICE and asked them, like, hey, can you guys remove this? Like, he doesn't have a criminal record. He's not a flight risk. Why are you guys doing this? And they just said it's their policy. So they didn't give us any explanation, no instructions, no radius, no consequences of what can happen if he goes out of the radius. He just had like a little card with charging instructions. And it was really terrifying because we had press conferences with news outlets, and we traveled within Hillsboro, but still they were calling me, asking me, like, where's your father? And I was the obligor on the...
So you're kind of responsible
Yes,
for him? Yes,
exactly. I was responsible for him. So they were calling me every time he left his house. Where's your dad? Where's Victor Cruz? Can I talk to him? And many times he was not sitting right next to me. So it was kind of like a panic of they wanted to talk to him and make sure that he was where he said he was, because they were tracking him 24/7 through GPS.
Oh, wow. How long that tracking go? Or it's still going?
Thankfully not. That happened for an entire week, and then he's in the ISAP program now. So they removed his ankle monitor and replaced it with digital monitoring. So he has to like send selfies. On Monday, he checked in person. He's going to have like home visits. So that's how they're going to continue monitoring him as long as he's in removals proceedings.
Could you explain a little bit to us what's the habeas petition?
Yes. So habeas corpus is essentially saying that you have the right to due process and that you have a right to fight your case. And so for my dad, that's how we fought his case, saying they detained him illegally because he had a work permit and because he has that bona fide letter from USCIS. Essentially, he already went through the process of explaining why he qualifies for a U visa. So DHS is kind of contradicting themselves because they already, how do I say it? They already said his case was legit. So basically, like, why are you detaining him?
And now you're saying this is no longer valid.
Yes.
After they already gave him a work permit and say basically
under their own rules.
Correct.
Right.
So it doesn't make any sense.
Because basically the next step in another world or in the past, it will be just waiting 3 or 2 years. You wait for the interview, and in some cases you don't even get an interview. You just get your green card, and that's it. As long as they find that you're good, you have no criminal records, you're not lying about it.
Right.
And that's what we're finding out. A lot of these people have work permits through U visas or
T visas,
whatnot.
yeah.
Exactly. And they're still taking them.
Right.
So they're violating human rights and in the law.
Did they give you any reason of why they violated that?
No, actually, Alma from, I believe, KGW or KPTV, I can't remember. She reached out to them for a comment, and they said, we don't make mistakes.
No.
So they were, yeah.
And that's why
blunt.
it's important to record every single action that it's happening out there, because we know they're making mistakes left and right every day.
So, and how you get in contact with all, because it was very, very like popular in the news and social media. All of us were like, what is happening? What is going to happen? Like everybody was.
I think we all felt it, whether we knew your mom, your dad, or yourself.
Yeah.
People were like, "Oh, I went to school with her. Oh, I know her mom through Zumba. Oh, I've known Victor." Yeah. How did that impacted the case and yourself, and how did you feel?
Yeah, we felt very supported by the community. It was a beautiful experience in this nightmare that we had the support of the community. Everybody that I've talked to that knew my dad was just so heartbroken, and so I can't believe this is happening to Victor. He's so kind. He's so this, like, it was just unbelievable. And it kind of just snowball effect. One person that helped a lot was our family friend Erin Palmer. She did our press conference, and so I think that's what got the media involved, is the press conference. And then that's when the story kind of blew up and it gained traction. And also, she was saying like he's the perfect face for this because he doesn't have a criminal record, because he's loved by the community. He's just an overall good person. So in a way, his story is helping the community and other people who have been affected as well.
Yeah. So, in a way, he is a perfect example of good characters also pay. Like, that's basically what we want to go back to it. Like, we want to be judged by character and not by the color or the race or anything else. But you went to some demonstration too. How was that? All that experience there?
Yes, I went to the No Kings rally this past Saturday. I had the opportunity to speak, and it was lovely to see just our allies, because we know this is not affecting the American or the white community, but it's beautiful to see them show up with their fuck ICE signs and ICE out of Portland. It's really beautiful, and I got to share my dad's
frogs.
story. The frogs, yes.
I love the frogs.
I love the frogs. And
She's so upset with the frogs by now.
they're great.
I am so afraid that one of these days is going to ask me to
dress up as a frog. And the banana band. Did you see the banana band?
Oh
yeah, it's so
gosh.
great. I also got to listen to somebody else sharing a story about their employer who their husband was deported after 40-something years of living here. So it's just, unfortunately, it's not just us being affected. It's hundreds of thousands
And
of
is
people.
he a Latino or?
He's Mexican.
Oh,
yes,
wow.
he's Mexican, and I don't know the details of the case. I just know that he was taken from his home, and he has a son. I believe he has 2 kids, and they've been here 40-something years. He's been here since he was a child. Can you imagine just going to Mexico, starting from zero?
Without
I
knowing
want to say
anyone.
that all these people who has been here for 40, 30, 20 years, they're being paying taxes. They're being contributing to the society. Their kids going to school here. They know more English than Spanish.
Right.
They know their values. So there are some narratives out there like, oh, the immigrants are taking our jobs or our money or whatever. We are paying taxes, and all of those who don't have papers are paying taxes still.
Right.
They are working. So for me, it doesn't make sense when you take somebody who is like 4 years hardworking, man, like has been
Or even, I mean-
supporting the community. Like, why? What is the reason?
Yeah.
And this is not political. Like, this is not politics at all. This is not like one side or another side. This is something that is happening to anybody in any side right now.
Right.
Yeah. And I've been grateful that you are being so outspoken there and
Thank you.
being the face and the voice that for those who has not the voice or the means to talk, that's very
Or
important.
the
right
courage.
now. Yeah.
It takes courage to stand up and speak and say something, because it's hard. It's just seeing everything that is happening. It's hard. What do you think about our leaders now that you've been through this? Because I know that now, there's a perspective of they're not doing anything, and, they're with ICE. And just speaking from our community here in Hillsboro, because your dad and your mom, they live in Hillsboro. They're from Hillsboro, and not just Hillsboro, but, the cities that are nearby, Cornelius, Forest Grove, they're well known around the area. What do you think about that? What can you say to our people about our leaders right now?
One thing I can say is that most of them were caught off guard, and they were not ready for this. I mean, none of us were. I remember our first unofficial meeting with a couple of city councilors. My mom and I were actually the ones who shared resources. They didn't know how to help us. So we said, okay, these are the people who we're calling. These are the people who have been helping us. And they took notes, and that's how they are helping other people who have been affected. So they were not prepared at all. I think that a lot of them also did not share that sense of urgency that I was feeling in the moment. I wanted action now, and I wanted to see action. And it was more of, we cannot interfere with federal agents. We cannot do this. We cannot do that. I remember Mayor Beach Pace coming to the press conference and telling me, please, if there's anything I can do to help your family. And she made a point to say, we cannot interfere with federal agents. Our local police department cannot interfere. And that was kind of like a gut punch, because, well, in a perfect world, like you said, we would hold these people accountable. We would send mediators, if that may be our sheriffs, our local PD, or our reservists, mediators, to make sure that these people are taking the people that they intend to, that they have judicial warrants, that they do not use excessive force, that they do not mace 14-year-olds. And they're telling us that that's too much to ask, and I don't think that's too much to ask. So I would like to see some kind of action.
It is difficult, and I understand a little bit of the position of most of the leaders, that nobody prepares for that. Like, nobody was like reading a book about how to defend from ICE or from federal agents. But my concern, it goes to, what is going to happen next if we are allowing them to overpower their own rights or their own ways to do it? What is it going to happen then next?
Right.
Is it going to go behind citizens? We're already seeing that. We're already seeing
After citizens,
We're already seeing that they are like deporting people who
Who
born
has
here.
paper.
Right.
Yes. So what is going to happen then? And what is going to be the wall that is going to stop them? Is going to kind of mitigate all these consequences? And that's one thing that I've been kind of concerned about it. But start with your dad and all your fight and all what you did. And I think that right now it is developing some sort of response to that. What do you see now? How do you see, like, it is being how much, a month and a half?
2 months, right?
About 2 months.
2 months.
Yes.
Yeah.
What do you see now? Is there any change? Do you see like hope in the future with all this situation?
I do see some change and some action, especially with, I know early in a city council meeting, Cristian Salgado, he had an action plan that he was sharing, and Kimberlyn Sinclair has also been sharing action plans with us. She said there weren't even any clear rules. We are a sanctuary state and we are a sanctuary city, but they weren't rules set in stone, saying that there's safe zones, saying that that like local PD cannot assist, which she says like that's ridiculous. We should have these, but they never anticipated this. And so that's one thing she's working on now, is setting clear set rules that we can say, okay, well, you can't do that because it says here. We can't do that right now because we don't have those rules. And another thing that I saw today was the Attorney General. He put out a cease and desist for DHS to hold ICE agents accountable, or they cannot operate in Oregon if they're not going to follow their own laws. So that's some action that I've been seeing here. And I've seen Tina Kotek finally say something today. She's been very quiet about this, so I'm not very happy about that, because she's our governor. So her voice matters, and unfortunately she hasn't been very active or spoke out about ICE at all. So I have been seeing a lot more urgency, like we expected, a little bit late, but it's better now than never.
And probably Hillsboro, because it has like most of the activity of ICE activity in the last 2 months. It act different, but I see cities that they just were like kind of expectating, and they were in the fence. They didn't do anything, and now they are like being actually impacted by the actions that they also didn't prepare.
No.
that like it
And
happens.
seeing that
Yeah.
it's, we're what, an hour away from, like,
Yeah,
say,
like
Salem,
Woodburn,
Woodburn.
like
Yeah.
I think Tualatin it was another one that it was impacted because it happened fast. To be fair, it happened
Yeah.
fast. Like they start on 2 months ago, and they are being moving around. They're being like doing all this.
Terrifying,
Yeah,
the
It's
communities.
terrifying.
and I think that that's the worst thing. And I want to ask you because you are being through this, and thank God your dad is in a better situation right now. But what do you say to all this community that it is terrified right now? They don't go out of house. They don't go to work. They
Especially the younger kids that are trying to help, like the one we saw a week ago, that he was with his dad, and he's 20. And, what is your message to them, to the young ones like you?
I would say to be prepared, and knowledge is power, and know your resources. There's so many resources out there to help us. I would say to don't be afraid. I know it can be scary to be in the situation, but our parents need us now more than ever, and they've sacrificed so much for us. So I think that it's time for us to show up and take on that responsibility, as heavy as it can be and as daunting as it can feel. It feels, I I can only explain it as grieving when you're going through it. It feels very helpless, but there is hope, and we just can't let hate win. We can't. We can't let racism win. We have to. I know a lot of people just want to leave the country and self-deport and give up, essentially, but that's what they want from us. They want us gone, and we can't give them that. We can't. We have to keep
We
fighting
need to
for our
show
place
up.
here. Exactly.
Yes. This is our
We need
home.
to stand
Yes.
up and show up for ourselves, for our community, for our older people, for everyone.
Right.
If we
Yes.
can, we need to do something. One thing I was gonna say, did you guys did a GoFundMe when all of this happened?
Yes, we did. We did a GoFundMe, and it actually we raised about $30,000, some odd $30,000. We've been using that to pay. We paid for his private lawyer. He's still in removal proceedings, so we're anticipating we're gonna have another couple thousand that we have to pay out of pocket. He's also not working. My mom's not working. We still have a mortgage to pay, so it's kind of been like our saving grace. I know a lot of people. I've been sharing GoFundMe's. A lot of people are just hit with this financial
Yes.
strain, and not, like I said, not everybody has the means to hire a lawyer. So I think that that's one of the biggest things that I'm so grateful for ECHO, for these lawyers who are working pro bono. Still, even our lawyer who took on the bond hearing, she's trying to take on the rest of my dad's case, and she's been reaching out to ECHO, but they're focused on people who are detained right now, which I understand because that's, I mean, my dad
That's
is
the
out.
priority,
Yes,
yeah.
that's the priority. So I think that's great. But thankfully, we had a good experience. I know I had a lot of people reaching out to me saying that their experience with ECHO was terrible, that their lawyers would ghost them. They would not answer the questions. They were not communicating with them. And so that's heartbreaking to me because that was not my experience. And that's when you're in that situation, you would hope that your lawyer is communicating with you and
Yeah.
answering your questions, because a lot, like, you
That's-
have so many
that's-
questions.
But-
And your hope is in them.
Yes.
And well, I don't try to defend them, but as you say, you have the lucky that you were like at the beginning of all of this, and probably right now
Right.
they are like absolutely completely packed.
Right.
And, again, I don't know exactly what is being happening, but one thing that I saw, and this is going to be probably 1 week, 2 weeks out, but yesterday, someone from Perk, from ECHO comes out on media and says you have to kind of pre-case yourself, because if it happens, we are already ready with your case.
Right.
So probably is going to be a good idea. I don't have the information, the exact information. I just see it like on social media, somebody from them yesterday. But if you're seeing this, probably go to Google and
Now,
find that
did your dad had an attorney before or no?
He had a case for his U visa.
And this attorney did not take his case when he was detained?
No, actually, they don't do what's called removal or detention and removal proceedings. They don't work with those kind of cases. So they gave us a referral to somebody else who was working with another of their clients who had a U visa as well. So she's the one who took our case, and she was wonderful.
And
oh my gosh.
she is not from ECHO?
No.
So this is aside from
Yes,
everything
privately.
else.
Yes, privately. We hired her privately. Also, another thing was we wanted to hire somebody privately because, like I said, ECHO is so saturated with so many cases, and the wait time is just longer. And we felt like we couldn't wait any longer, so we just hired somebody privately. And I believe our lawyers who did the bond hearing from ECHO, they were not in person because they had so many other people they needed to attend to. So that's another thing that what I was upset with, but also like they need to pick and choose who's priority. So his bond hearing, they just showed up digitally in a camera, and my dad said unfortunately he couldn't understand the translator because she was translating the computer and they were just talking too fast, and so that was a downside from having that lawyer from ECHO.
Did you get to go to Tacoma to see your dad at any point? I saw you went to pick him up.
Yes.
But did you ever go in there to see him and talk to him when he was there?
No, I didn't. He would not allow me. He said that he was afraid. He was afraid that I would be picked up or I would be taken.
Question and all of that.
Yeah. So my husband, he was the one going back and forth visiting him. Yeah.
Okay. How was that when he got out? How did you feel?
Oh my gosh, it was unbelievable. We just did not believe it that he was out, and I was holding him in my arms. We just sobbed and cried for a good 2 to 3 minutes in each other's arms, and I'd never seen him cry in my life. He was just tears and tears. He just kept looking at the sky, and the sun was out that day, and I think that he just never imagined he would be seeing the outside again.
At least the outside of the U.S., because, otherwise they ship him back to their country and that's it.
They did try to deport him a week before he was out.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
How did that happen?
It was a Thursday, and he tried to make a call to my mom, and he realized he didn't have any funds in his commissary. So he scrambled, and he asked one of the guards, like, why don't I have any money in my account? I had like $200 yesterday. And they said, well, you're either being transferred or you're being deported. So he started panicking, and he called me, through one of his friends there who allowed him to use their money. And so I believe it was 8 or 9 p.m. and I was on the phone. I was trying to call my lawyer and she wasn't picking up. And I told her, we have reason to believe he's going to be deported. Please, can you do anything? And so she was up until 11 p.m. Writing a emergency restraining order because they have an emergency court 24/7. You can do things like that. And unfortunately, she said this is normal. This is not uncommon that they're doing this. They're deporting people without their
Letting
courts.
you know.
Right.
Process.
She actually had
Wow.
another client that very same night that she was doing a restraining order for. Yeah.
Oh, wow.
So you have to be on top of things.
Oh
I
my
mean,
gosh.
You cannot sleep.
No, we saved him by literally a couple of minutes.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
I have not heard of
And
that.
what is your message for all those people, leaders and community and everybody who unite for your case and who's being outspoken, who somehow help? What is your message for them?
First and foremost, I want to say thank you. Thank you for caring about your immigrant community. Thank you for showing up in whatever ways that you showed up, either by coming to our press conference or speaking to me personally. I remember the ACLU was going to speak on behalf of my father, but they wanted to check his criminal record in Mexico first. And one of our counselors, city counselors, Nafisa, she said, I don't care what his criminal record is. Like, what they're doing to him is wrong. I'm going to stand beside him no matter what comes out. And, well, there was no criminal record in Mexico or here, so they were able to. But just those little details of her standing with us, even though there could possibly be a criminal record, I think that was very touching to me, and that she genuinely cares about our community. And I'm just very grateful the way that Hillsboro community came together, because like we've seen, it's not the same in other cities. Other cities are not declaring a state of emergency. They're not taking action, even though their communities are being terrorized every day.
Mm-hmm. Well, hopefully at the end of the week, the state of Oregon declares the emergency.
Yes.
How does this changes your life and your perspective? I know you have kids. How has the impact that it has in you, did it change in anything?
Yes, it did. It felt, I carry a lot of guilt because for days and weeks I was just not mentally there for my kids. I was crying. I was not eating. I was not taking care of myself. I was taking phone calls every day, reaching out to new lawyers, taking consultations, driving, because I live in Milwaukee, driving back and forth to my mom's house, checking in on her. It felt like I was drowning. It felt like I was drowning. I still had to cook. I still had to take my kids to school. Thankfully, I have a very lovely husband who was able to help me with that, and he kind of stepped in and did a lot of that work. But this is not something you can do alone. Yeah. You can't. You need a community. You need a village.
Thank you so much for being the voice of all of those who cannot be spoken out there, for showing yourself like in all these protests and all the places that you can go and talk, and you do it. Thank you. That's require, as Xiomara says, courage, and you are.
Do you consider yourself an activist now? Or
yes.
were you before?
Yes, I think I've always been an empath, and I've always cared so much about our rights, and not just the immigrants even. I've always fought for LGBTQ rights. I've always fought for just for everybody to feel safe and to have a place in the community. So I think it just came very naturally. Yeah.
Well, thank you so much. I really appreciate the opportunity to have you here tonight and to share with our community, because we feel like it's needed, and there are so many other stories that are just there. Their husbands have been deported, their wives, and I mean, it's devastating, and no one is hearing about it. No one, they don't have the community that you guys have, or maybe they're not raising their voices because they're afraid. Mm-hmm. And so having you here, having your mom and dad here in the past, that really helps and encourage them to please speak up and reach out to us and to many other people out there that are trying to communicate everyone, because maybe they don't know what you did to make this happen for your dad. Yes. And so we want to let them know that we're here for the community. Thank you so much, Atziri.
Thank you.
And we really hope that your dad stays.
Yes.
And that everything goes back to normal somehow, someday, and hopefully sooner than later.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you. Hasta la próxima.